Meeting to order tonight to discuss, ordinance 528, Frank Tate boat ramp fee discussion and utility billing overview. We're gonna talk about those two things. We did have a couple commissioners out. I know, Commissioner Lowry, grandfather's very sick, and, the mayor's out of town tonight, so we're gonna go ahead and, go through this. It's just a workshop to discuss this stuff. Anything that we decide on will be brought up probably in the next city commission meeting. Jim, at this time, I'd like to hand it over to you, if that's okay.
All right, okay. Do we want to start with the boat ramp fees?
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, all right. The first item we have is the boat ramp fee discussion on there. As you recall, a number of years back, the city commission did put in place, boat ramp fees. They've been collected, for folks that are putting the boats in the water. What we have is proposed ordinance that would define the location and what the fees would be used for discussion for you tonight.
I've got something on that, Mr. Mayor, unless you have something.
No, go right ahead. I'd like to hear from you commissioners first, and, then anyone from the public that'd like to speak on this matter.
I've spoken with Dr. May a little bit about this, and he is all for expanding that geographic boundary. So I think that, rather than adopt it as it's written down, I think that we need to take it back to the table and possibly write in. I know we all have it in front of us, the other parcels of the waterfront, that we were discussing possibly including on that. And I mean, if we're all open to that and we have some public discussion, I'd like to include parcels 1 through 8 that are listed here on our sheet, as part of the zone that's included, where we can spend that money. And it includes all the waterfront, basically from in front of the Methodist Church to Georgia Park. And that, I think, with your discussion on it, that would be, the angle that I'm looking at. I can't support it if we're just gonna spend it in that parcel.
Yeah, I was, Dave, I was looking at that too, and it's pretty restrictive. I was actually looking at what's highlighted as well as, number 4, all the way to the water. But I could support others. I'm not,
What would number 4 be?
look on your, look right there.
That's,
on that one.
that's the parcel behind that.
Yeah, that's 4 is right there where, that's PVC building, and that's, that little lake right there.
Right.
And then going all the way to right there, where a lot of people park right there, which is
And
actually adjacent.
at that time, too, the people parking there every year, we have to, a lot of times bring in dirt,
Right, right,
gravel, that kind of stuff.
right.
So I would be all for possibly doing the same thing on that. I don't think anybody's against expanding it.
Are there copies of this at the podium?
Yes, sir. There's one large copy there, and we have some extra ones here if somebody would like.
Okay, anybody wants to get, we're talking right now about the boundaries where we can spend the money, based on the ordinance that we proposed. So, the first basic proposal was just highlighted in blue, I think, from way back.
That would have been parcel number 5, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's what we originally talked about, but, listening to Commissioner Ashbrook, you're talking about, Dave, part of what you're talking about is extending down on our property that we bought with grant money.
Any waterfront property, basically between the church and George Court Park there, I mean, I think that we spent some money trying to keep that beautiful, and I think that adds to the aesthetics of our town. I don't wanna spend that money in lieu of, alienating the maintenance on the boat ramp. I think that we need to have an escrow account for when we figure out what that cost is, and put that money away specifically for maintaining the $800,000 that we're spending. But above and beyond that, if we need to spend money on the waterfront, we ought to be able to spend that anywhere along this coastline.
I feel the same way, Commissioner said, and the way I'm looking at it right now, and y'all tell me if I'm correct, if we want to include all the waterfront area, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
In 6, I mean, what is 6? No, that's fine. 5 would be the one that I have a question on. It looks like a populated area. What are we looking at on 5?
5 is actually the highlighted area that we already approved. It goes all the way down.
Oh, I got you.
Follow
What's
that
above
line
that?
down there. So,
Above
Oh, okay.
that property that, And there's chances are we'll never spend any money there, but if we do, yeah, I guess, Rex, read through, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, because I was gonna let you commissioners finish discussion before I said anything.
But let's see, one is George Core Park, two is Maddox House property, is that where that line goes, Jim?
No, sir, that's the property that, that we received in exchange from the St. Joe Company that is right behind the Goodwill.
Okay, I don't
The
feel.
tree lot.
I don't particularly care for that. Mr.
I mean, my only thought, to me, if
It's
you look
not
at,
on the waterfront.
and if you look at all of these parcels, I kind of view that as part of Core Park.
Yeah,
And I do think that piece of property has the most potential for development, and I know in the future, you know, I've been thinking about a multi-purpose building for research and education up there, but I don't wanna spend boat rent money building a building. So, I mean, I think,
no, I
Can
understand.
can we have a priority? Like, first priority being waterfront, second, like boat ramp, second priority being waterfront, third priority being other needs in that perimeter?
well, I mean, with the majority vote, according to the ordinance, we would be able to spend the money anywhere we wanted to.
Yeah, but
I don't say it that way, but I mean, that's the way
Yeah,
the
but
ordinance
I
is
don't
written.
like that line of the ordinance, personally. I think we can amend it, I've got some suggestions on how we can amend that.
But anyway,
If we need to pull all of them, except for the ones that touch the water, I'm fine with that as well.
yeah, and because down at two, where there's duper potential for grant money that the federal folks and everybody else are working on.
And that's what we wanna be careful of, guys, we don't want to include something that may shoot ourselves in the foot later on a grant or something. I mean, I'm all for it,
I'm just thinking, everything that touches the waterfront, number 4, Jim, is that just the pond there, or does it include that area around where the TDC building?
It wraps around the TDC.
Wraps that
Yes.
whole area, so we couldn't chop that off?
I don't see a lot of maintenance on the pond over there.
Rex, that's gonna end up, I mean, right now, it's de facto parking.
No, we definitely want a de facto parking, that's what I brought up before you got here. Number 4, down on the waterfront, there's a lot of parking
Right, that's what I'm saying.
happening there all the
That's
time.
all, okay.
So if we can't lock the pond area off, I would say, 5, 4, 1,
And 3.
I can't see where 3 goes. What?
It's between 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Three is, yeah,
Yeah,
Three is
that's
right behind it.
3 is the Maddox
that's
House.
Maddox.
Maddox, okay, yeah, I could say 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
You wanna abandon everything to the other side, and I'm fine with that. There's not a lot of maintenance.
what is on the 6
The
and
only
8,
one on the
guys?
other side is 2.
What is 6 and 8?
I don't have an 8. Yeah, dude, never mind.
6 is Frank Pate Park, and we have all the cookouts there.
8.
8 is the property right by the Methodist Church, and 7 is the lot between the Haddocks and the Costin Old House.
Yeah, guys, you know,
I don't,
we're splitting hairs here in a way, in my opinion. You know, if it's okay, I'll speak on this for a minute. I championed this boat rent fee. I championed it, I also said that I did not want this money going into the general fund, I wanted this money being spent at Frank Pate Park boat ramp. That was before I knew we were fixing to get an $800,000 grant to renovate it. Now, a grant, $800,000 grant to renovate it is also gonna cost us more money for upkeep and to maintain. I understand that. So that being said, we need to earmark the money that we see that we need to spend at that. One thing I want people to understand in the public and then out here tonight, we do not charge city residents. We do not charge county residents. Everything that we take in down there is from tourism money and people outside the area of the city of city of Fort St. Joe and Gulf County. This is not taxpayer money. But if I have to go out and spend $15,000 on police radios that we don't have in our general fund for public safety, if we have to do that, then so be it, because what that does is that keeps us next year from possibly having to go up on ad valorem taxes that cost everybody in the city their own taxpayer money. Now, I want to draw something up, I wanna be fair about it, but do I feel like that I should tie my hands? Because when I tie my hands, I'm tying my hands to every taxpayer in the city of Fort St. Joe. So I think we need to really look at this hard. And I'd like to hear from people, from the public after you get through speaking,
Right,
Commissioner
I
Brazil.
think, I'd also eliminate 7 and 8. I'd do 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that would tie it closer to, what we wanna do down there, and, make basically a waterfront park, for lack of a better word. So, if we could tie that into the ordinance, the way it's written, except, in my opinion, number one, any money brought into the city goes in the general fund. And I mean, we can segregate it, but it's still general fund money and can be used for general fund purposes. So, I like the ordinance, but to spend it under a supermajority, I don't particularly like that. I would just say a majority vote of the city commission to spend it outside these defined areas. Is that?
I mean, it's their political career if they choose to do that.
Well, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We're gonna, I hope at some point in time, vote for this ordinance.
Sure.
After we, plug in our areas that we like and go from there. It's a start, and any ordinance can be amended, but I just wanna make everybody fairly clear about what money comes into the city is, except for enterprise, which is sewer and water, can be spent anywhere in the city. If I'm incorrect, let me know. But anyway, that's all, I've got, I think Dr. May wants to.
Yeah, I see Dr. May, I'm calling you first, and then after Dr. May speaks, I don't wanna hear from anybody else in the public, and let's try to keep our comments to about 4 minutes, please.
Definitely. Thank y'all. Anyway, I appreciate y'all having a workshop. Just want to say, William, thank you for, I know this is aggravating, but it's going to be great. I promise you. Thank you for getting the boat ramp started. I mean, that's what, I wasn't before it when you did it, but now I think it's the best thing we ever did, and it's going to be great for the city. I hope we come on with an ordinance that everybody likes. Let's figure out the property we need to do. Let's draw a circle around it. I do have a couple things I want to bring up real quick. One, I really think that the ordinance is good. I think we need to do Exhibit A and kind of define that, like we were just talking about. Whatever y'all think that needs to be, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I do think number 3 needs to be amended. I think we should strike, notwithstanding the foregoing, the city commission may approve expenditures outside, blah, blah, blah. I think that needs to be struck. Let's put a comma after the word area and say with the following exception. The city may borrow up to 10% of the fund for other purposes to be repaid within 2 years at an interest rate of 1%. The cumulative loan balance can never be more than 10% of the fund value at the time of the loan. I mean, that gives you guys some flexibility to borrow the money, take money out of the fund. But what I don't think we need to do is make an ordinance that is going to be dissolved at the first time you guys need $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or whatever you need. I think you guys need to have access to some of that money. I know that it's all segregated. I think that part of the ordinance also should require a yearly public accounting. Saying, although this is all in the general fund, the city accounting department will provide a yearly profit and loss statement for the marina fund, for the boat ramp fund.
That's easy to do.
And I think that if we put that in there, then that holds everybody accountable, and and we just review it every year. And and I don't think anybody here is going to do it, but if our next wave or two comes along and gets a little crazy, then they'll have to be accountable for that accounting.
I don't really have a problem with your additions to there based on, the loan thing. I don't really have a real problem with that. I don't think it really alters anything we can do.
I don't either. I just think that what we're trying to do is just try to leave a footprint for the people that follow y'all to know that, hey, this money is kind of earmarked for a certain purpose. Certainly, legislatively, like Tom said, like this, all it takes is 4 people or whatever it takes to dissolve an ordinance. But I think to dissolve an ordinance, don't you have to have a public hearing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or can you just get up here and 3 people say this ordinance is now dissolved?
I think you should probably have a public hearing because you want to get it out. But
I mean,
it
legally
would
to
be
dissolve an
three-
ordinance.
It'd be 3 votes.
But can, at any given time, any ordinance be repealed
Sure,
by 3 people?
correct.
So really, an ordinance is,
Yeah, like, for instance, if you had the supermajority ordinance here,
right,
3 of these guys could vote to rescind it
right,
at any time.
okay. And so it doesn't take a public hearing to rescind an ordinance. I thought it did.
It does take a public hearing and.
So that was all I was looking for, was that nobody could just rescind it on a Friday afternoon. I mean, they'd have to call a special meeting and they'd have to put a notice in the paper saying, there's gonna be a meeting and we're gonna talk
Just like
about
you
ordinance
adopt.
X, Y, and Z. So that's why I thought the ordinance was valuable, because I know that, I think like we said, I think we're splitting hairs here a little bit. But, all I'm trying to do is, look, we inherited through a lot of hard work, through people, from some of you guys and some of the guys that were here before y'all, we've inherited a great gift, that all this waterfront property and all this cool stuff. And, I think you guys have been elected to be good stewards of the city's assets. And, one of the things about stewardship is the old Bible verse, you don't bury it, you kind of try to improve it, take care of it, protect it, make it better. And I think that's what we're all trying to do. We're just trying to figure out a way to move forward on that. So I really like the idea of some kind of accountability, because I know it's all in the general fund, obviously, but some kind of yearly accounting deal, and then some kind of an idea that the city has access to 10% of the money at any given time if they need it for any purpose. But I hate to see you guys need $5,000 and have to dissolve the ordinance to get $5,000. You know what I mean? I'd rather have y'all to just have access to it.
I'd rather leave it open more than 10%, because, when I made this ordinance, I was the one that said I wanted the money segregated. I don't want to be patching holes.
What percentage is good?
I don't foresee it ever probably happening again, God forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, I don't.
But I mean, leaving it for the next wave of commissioners, what do you think's a good?
20%, 25%.
I mean,
And,
What-
and that
what-
has
We
to be
still have
paid
to
back.
repay it.
yeah.
We have to repay
You
that.
could have 50%, we still got to
I
repay
mean,
it.
I'm all for keeping it as low as we can. I want to leave you guys as much flexibility as possible. I think with the accounting provision, then that's something that everybody's gonna have to be accountable for. At the end of the year, they're gonna say, well, gosh, you guys have got an outstanding loan, when are you gonna pay it back? I mean, as long as we have that kind of accountability, I don't think that there's gonna be a problem.
What I need you to do is, every time I come up with re-election, and any of these guys is rerunning, you vote for us, and you'll never have to worry about what we tell you change.
Dustin,
That's
can you,
doable.
I think, I probably all agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you could pass that on to Jim, so maybe
Okay, thank you, that's my 4 minutes.
possibly our
You're
next
fine.
meeting,
And I didn't mean it that before.
No, that's enough.
possibly our next meeting, we'd have an ordinance drawn up with these zones, Clint, with these zones.
I got it.
You got that, and
1, 3, 5, and 6.
$4,
and
5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6?
yes, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and with some of the language that Dusty suggested, we can look at it and we can either strike some of that or vote on it and go.
Well, and just for the record, Dr. May, anytime you need any financial record, it's public information. I get, I think either quarterly or maybe even monthly, I get them all the time. You can look at our financials, and that's every account broken down. Even though it's all in the general fund, your QuickBooks or whatever they use, it's all broken out. You can look at.
I got one right here. If you
Yeah.
want the latest copy, I give it to you.
No, it looks too thick.
It
It
is.
is.
That's what I'm saying, if we had a line
But
item.
I'm gonna tell you something,
Page 3.
transparency is what I'm about, Dusty. I hope you know that. I'm not trying to, I just don't wanna get a bind and
I
not
hear
be
you.
able to.
We-
I want y'all to have flexibility.
We've got in the financial statement, what you're talking about, our BP funds, that we've got, where we got money from the hospital lots, where we spent the money, our bottom line, that type of thing, so it's there, Mike can handle that real easy, and, that wouldn't be a problem.
Not at all.
Okay.
At this time, I'd like to call, if there's anybody out there that uses the boat ramp, that's a fisherman, I'd love to hear from y'all for a minute. I done heard you.
I see it too.
Any more? Big Phil, Taft, Mr. Parker.
What, I'm just interested to know, how do you like what we're doing down there, the fee we're charging? You know, give me, you know, your take,
If I could just,
State your name, Bill.
name and address and all that.
I'm Phil Cox, I live here in town, I'm a charter fisherman, and I'm inshore, so I trail on my boat every day.
Yeah.
And really the only, the issue, first of all, it's a great facility for us, it's a great location, you know, it works great. The only thing about it is it gets crowded, and we're out so early in the morning, it doesn't really affect us, we get the best parking and everything. But the issues are what, the same issues everybody else has. It's the parking, it's the ability to tie boats up. I realize that the more area you put for people to tie boats up, I don't know how people are. The more people will tie the boats up there. You know, and there's never an easy answer to that. But some of the things that you all have already addressed, and the BP money is going to take care of, you know, the concrete walls on the outside need to be wood finished or have bars on them that you can tie a boat up there without just eating the side of your boat up.
We got-
So you tie, and I know you've got that. So everything's moving in the right direction as far as that money. You know, as long as you're maintaining it, and you did before, and there's no reason to doubt that you're not going to continue to do so. And the money is, you're being held accountable for that money. But anything you can do to improve that area, not just the boat ramp, but the entire area, it improves my job.
Absolutely, and you know,
And the more people that come here, the more it does for me.
absolutely. And we know that's our golden egg right there, and we gonna do everything we can. And I'm gonna tell you, I will tell the people of the city of Fort St. Joseph, I do not plan on using that money anywhere else other than that boat ramp and anything close in that vicinity that will help you, help our citizens, help our tourism.
So I agree.
I just, if in the event that our police chief handed us, we didn't have any more money, and he said, every radio I got zapped by like Friday night. I would like to say, you know what, we got some money that's not taxpayer money. You go there. And when times get better, we can pay that money back.
I live under the protection of those policemen. I want them to be protected and be able to communicate. So I don't have any problem with that. But again, like I said, there's a series of checks and balances here, and everybody's aware of it. And as long as that's in place, I really don't see any problem. And I think it was a great idea to charge. I was watching. I very seldom watch anyone. It was just a big advertisement. Panhandle Outdoors. Winston Chester complains about this Mexico Beach and us. And I'm good friends with the mayor of Mexico Beach also. And, you know, he said, you know, I get complaints on it all the time. He said, it's the best thing we ever did. And the thing about this, the complaints don't come from the people that matter.
That's right. Our taxpayers.
Right, our taxpayers. So, but anyhow, I think I think the idea is fine. And like I said, developing that area there and making it more accessible to our tourists, making it more aesthetically appealing, all that's positives for me.
Appreciate
While you're out there, and of course you run in the circle of the charter guys that use it all the time, in the next 3 months, with that renovation going on, it's gonna be a mess down there, so kind of give them a heads up to, you know, be patient. I would shoot for never more than 1 week, it all being down. We'll have one side down probably, and then the other, and they're getting ready to go soon.
I don't know of any progress that doesn't have some pain to it. So I think we all understand that. The positive side of that right now is we are scattered out so many different areas fishing right now that, you know, there's never more than 2 or 3 of us putting out right there because if fishing out in the pass, or fishing out of the Cape, and Presnell's, and White City, and Overstreet. So, as long as before Memorial Day, I think that Memorial Day through Labor Day, when, and I don't need to tell that to anybody, but that's the really rush. And now that we've got scallop season scheduled farther out in the year, when basically about the time scallop season starts, all these kids to the north of us start back to school. So it is really a bonus for us, and it's gonna draw these people back for a long weekend.
I like it too.
I think it just, if I picked it myself, I could have picked it better.
Absolutely.
So I thought that worked out great, and it spreads things out, and it takes some of the traffic off the back of the bay.
I like it. And, I appreciate everybody that uses that boat ramp. I think, charter fishing are asset to our community, and I appreciate y'all for being here, just like I do everyone else sitting out in the audience tonight. Thank you, Bill.
Hey, who owns I noticed, I call it Tim Nelson Park down there, the little area he's working on down there. Who owns that? Is that part of this parcel number 4?
Yeah. Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, because I mean, that's another beautiful area. I didn't even do that, the land from there, until I walked back there with him one day, and I was like, man, this is awesome back there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But that is part 4, right? Okay.
And our thoughts on that is to maybe eventually be able to, get some grants for like some boardwalks, like you've seen over in Panama City through there by the museum, you know how they have that over in Panama City?
Oh, yeah.
I say that's our thoughts. I think we've had some discussion on
That whole area down there is just a beautiful, I mean, we've got an unbelievable footprint right there, and we got a little bit of, I think we're gonna have a great way to raise some money for it, and I'm just excited that, the city.
I think
gonna
everybody's
end
on
up-
the same page, Dusty. I think we just gotta come together, because we all know that is the golden egg
Yep.
there for us. And we're
That's the
not letting
bait.
anybody mess it up, and I can promise you guys, I promise you this, I hope I never spend one other dollar out of that boat ramp money on anything other than that boat ramp, because I wanna see that thing when people pull in the door saying, yeah, we heard some stuff about this or that, but in my whole lifetime, and Dusty, you've lived here in Bull St. Joe your whole life. Have you ever been able to drive down Highway 98, look at the sunset the way you do today, how beautiful it is?
Nowhere else in the state of Florida.
And
You
used
got,
to, you
all that
couldn't
much
do that.
condos in front of you.
And I think we did that in a cautious way, is what I'm saying is, we didn't go and bulldoze everything down. We took out the rough stuff, left the good stuff, and it's cute, and it's pretty to me, y'all. I just couldn't see that when you drove through, and I feel like if we're gonna live on the bay, let's show it off.
I'll tell you what, I travel a lot, and I just got back from down in Tampa, all the way down to St. Pete. And, people are coming, man. And the best thing we can do is take care of what we got. We're gonna have to make it nice and make it pretty, make it available, but we gotta protect it too, so.
I totally agree with you.
So I think that everybody here's on the same page, and I look forward to working with Jim and getting this ordinance wiped out, because I'm ready to go to work with Mike and get going on raising some money, because I've got some great ideas that they're gonna be easy to implement, and, soon, I feel like this is a done deal. When do y'all think this will get done? Any idea when we can actually
You
have
know,
this?
my thing is I would say next meeting, but my other thing is I also didn't know 2 other commissioners / mayor wasn't gonna be here tonight, so if not next meeting, we may have to move it up. I'm not saying that, okay? I don't know. I just don't wanna do something underhanded with 2 commissioners
No,
not
I
being
want
here,
everybody to
so
be on board.
I do too, so in the near future, and I
Okay.
promise you, it's not gonna go on forever, I just wanna be sure everybody's on board. We've
I'm
had this
ready
one
to get
thing on
started,
there.
and we need to get some stuff going and get some stuff in the mail and start collecting. I mean, I got a lot of good ideas where we start raising some money right away.
Yeah, I'd like to see the changes to the ordinance, as soon as we can with the, exhibit that we talked about, and put in all the commissioners' boxes as soon as possible. So we'll have several weeks to look at it before the next meeting and talk to the public and so forth about what we're doing, and then maybe we can make that decision first meeting in March.
I'm okay with that. I'm
I'll
just
get you
thinking-
my stuff. I'll send it to you tonight or tomorrow, so you'll have it in your box. Okay.
I just wanna say, I'm behind every bit and everything we do, but I'll never be for charging the people road for Belt County. If we can entice this and make it better, I'm all for it. But that boat ramp belongs to the taxpayers of our community. That's all I've got.
Just a quick recap on the ordinance. Just leave it with percentage aspect blank of what the city can spend. We want to make it in the form of a loan, and we want a yearly account. Is that,
Yeah, I mean, we've already got yearly accounting, but you need to go ahead and put it in.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna send Jim just some stuff I got written down, so you can look at it.
Okay.
What you think, and if you wanna get back to me, and we'll try to come up with something these guys can look at, hopefully.
All right.
Close to final form,
Okay.
early next week.
At this time, guys, we're gonna move on to the second part of the meeting. Anybody that was here for the boat ramp fee, we're gonna conclude that at this time, and I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank y'all very much.
This part ain't gonna be as fun.
Y'all wanna talk about what we feel?
Well, Mayor, let me kind of take the lead on that, because I'm the one that's been pushing it so hard since somebody from New York City that owns property here called me one time and blessed me out for about 30 minutes about how he couldn't get his water turned back on. So I thought, well, maybe there's a way we can tweak it a little bit and make it a little bit easier without jumping through some of the hoops we've been. It's been like this for 30 years, I guess, so it doesn't hurt to change a little bit. We do it better. So, Jim, what I kind of like to do is take us from the very person that walks in the door, brand new property owner, Port St. Joe, has a house, wants to get his water turned on. Take it from there and then go.
First one I want to do is give you a day in the life of Carla, Bree, and Jess. First, I want to thank these ladies up here. These ladies have taken this on themselves the last couple of years and really have done a tremendous job for us every day. My hats are off to these ladies right here.
It's like working a return window at Walmart.
It is
Worse than that,
nonstop. So first, kudos to these ladies up here, because they're the ones that do the work every day. Basically, what you have is, let's go through it. Let's see. The first thing what I did is on page 4, this outlines what your code tells you. This is what was adopted by the city commission as far as the general rules of how we handle utility billing. This is the 10,000 foot level is what our rules are, okay? Then flip over to page 5. Page 5 kind of gives you as to what our calendar looks like. We have set things that we have to do during the course of the month over there. So basically, if you go through page 5, basically utility bills are due on the 1st, late after the 10th. After the 10th, what we do is we assess the late fees on there. $10 late fees assessed to all the accounts. And then we move on along. Bills not paid by the 20th each month are subject to a cutoff with a $35 fee is assessed to all accounts on the cut list. And then from there, if we're not able to work out through the cut list, and all accounts are actually closed out through for non-payment or submitted to the collection agency. We actually put you an example in here for somebody that pays their bill. If there's a February bill that's due on the 10th of February, what we do is we go out the first of the month. We read the meters within the first couple of days. It usually takes 3 to 5 days to read those meters, okay? Then they come back in. They download those meters into the system. We have Munis, and we also have Greentree as the actual software we use to read the meters. All of our meters, for the most part, are radio read. We still have some big meters that they have to go out there and manually touch, but for the most part, the guys get in the truck, they go out there with the radio read software, they read these meters and bring them back into City Hall. And we have an agreement with, even with the sewer side, the ones at Lighthouse Utilities. Okay? And from there, in days 6 through 10, the staff loads the bills. They run the reports and complete any rereads that may be done. They try to filter through and see any problems on there. And then in days 11 through 15, the staff, they print out the bills and mail them out to the customers. We have our own equipment that we actually sort the bills. We print them on our bill sheets. We get them sent out every single month. Kind of put it in perspective of where we come from. If you'll flip over to page 6.
Let me ask you a question, Jim, before you get into that.
Okay.
Didn't we a while back, several years ago, I almost want to say Greg Johnson was commissioner at that time, didn't we change the disconnect fee for folks outside the city limits, and specifically Overstreet, we were our guys were having to drive 20 miles out there and 20 miles back. Just, we changed that, as well as we changed the minimum on the lighthouse utility people, from what I understand.
No, sir. What we did was, you have to have by your interlocal agreement, we have to charge the exact same thing that you're charging customers outside the city limits as inside the city limits. State statute says you can charge up to 10% more, but you have an interlocal agreement that says you will charge the exact same thing for county residents versus city residents. What we do have is we have a service fee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carla. The service fee, if somebody wants to get to change the service on, there's $25. Is that what the service fee is?
What do you mean change?
Or like, let's say if somebody's coming in and new service.
Uh-huh.
So the new service fee is a $100 deposit and a $25 service fee.
It's 35.
35, I'm sorry, 35. That's where the 35 came in for the service. It's that the disconnect fee is a service fee for new service when a new customer comes in.
Now, what about the minimum that we voted on for lighthouse utility customers? Folks renting, they cut it off, they cut it on, somebody new comes in, they're not responsible. I wanna say we voted to have a $25 minimum, 12 months out of the year, no matter what, for
All that-
lighthouse utility.
All
Because
that-
we're having problems with the sewer, we own the sewer, they own the water. And my understanding was that all the problems we've had, that we were gonna charge them every month, whether their water was on or not, because you never knew when their water was cut off, because we didn't have a good, relationship or procedure with Lighthouse. And so we decided $25 a month, no matter what, for minimum, because if we got a reading, 0 water this month, oh, the water's cut off, they don't know any sewer. Well, how many months did we know, and so on and so forth, so
What you got is you have a base rate and a usage rate
I
on
know
water
that.
and sewer,
I
and
know
it's
that,
exactly the
but
same.
you weren't charging a base rate when they cut the water off. You weren't charging a minimum,
No,
and we agreed to charge them a minimum for lighthouse
water?
utilities, period, because lighthouse is a totally different ballgame. We don't own the water, we don't own the water, so consequently, if we don't know the water's been cut off, or it has been cut off, or what have you, we're losing revenue left and right on the folks in the Cape, because we don't charge a flat minimum 12 months
I
out of
thought
the year.
that the stuff that we had Lighthouse doing for us now was gonna take care of that.
Well,
you just helping out.
it's helping out, but we still, there's a lot of times that we don't know that. And so I'm gonna put it back on the agenda. You gonna get Ms. Charlotte to research it, but I would sworn if we put a $25 monthly mandatory minimum on lighthouse utility.
I don't think you can do it by your interlocal. Your interlocal says you shall charge the exact same for customers inside the city limits.
That's for rates, water rates. That's for water rates, so we talked about a $25 convenience fee. We can call it whatever you want.
Just a question, maybe I'm not quite understanding. You're saying on top of the base rate that we're charging for sewer, the 3202, 32 whatever per month, you're adding a $25 fee on top of that?
No, I'm saying when we get notification that if their water's cut off,
Mhm.
you still don't charge them $32 for
So we're
those.
gonna charge that to Lighthouse?
No, we're charging the customer for
The
a
only time
convenience
we
fee.
have a customer that gets cut off is if that customer's sold property or moved or whatever.
Well, I understand there's a lot of vacation homes, that are owned out there, and the folks are only down here 6 months out of the year. 6 months out of the year, they have the water cut off. And so there's no $32 base rate. And then they come in and get the water cut on, and oh, we find out about it 3 months later. So then we start charging them then, so we're losing 1 or 2 months off for a lot of people out there.
Well, actually now, when customers on the Cape, they go into Lighthouse to turn their water on, I automatically get an email with the address, the physical location, the customer's name and their phone number, and I can call them, you know, and give them the information to set up their sewer service with us. So that's something new that we've been doing lately for the new customers that do come in to turn their water service on.
Well,
In other words, they're
Jim
not
was the
gonna have,
one that brought this up to me months ago, that we were losing money out there because we didn't know when water was cut on. Consequently, it might be 2, 3, 4 months when we find out the water's cut on, but we should have been collecting sewer
right.
from all those, you know, people.
So basically, right now, is when we get notification, that the water's been cut on, we try to notify them right then, and so there shouldn't be anyone out there that has water service that we don't know about, and them having sewer. If they don't have water service, then there's not gonna be any
Well,
reason
what
for
we
the
did,
sewer.
Commissioner Brazett, a couple of years ago, when we started to discuss this, what we did was, we said, okay, in order, well, before we disconnect somebody, you gotta tell us what the situation is, who's moving in there. Before you can disconnect that, you need to tell us who's gonna see that bill. That's what we started doing.
Well, as long as you guys are comfortable, we're getting paid for our service out there.
It's not 100% foolproof, no, sir.
Yeah, I'm just, Commissioner said, I'm not for punishing 99% of the people for the 1% that's taking advantage. If you all are comfortable that we're not getting a whole bunch slipping through the cracks,
Well, not anymore,
well,
obviously.
good.
I can
That's-
see where
Yeah.
yeah, but I hope that with the emails that Carla said she's getting, the new deal we got with, Lighthouse Utilities.
Well, Jim, can we just start right from scratch? I'm Joe Blow. I walk into the ladies and I wanna open up her water account. How can we,
Carly, you wanna-
how many different ways can I do that?
Actually, you can walk into City Hall, you can download it off the website, you can fax or email it to us, along with a copy of your picture ID. Now, if you fax or email it, once we get all the documents that we need, we'll contact the customer, and you have, you can pay by phone with a credit or debit card for your deposit.
Okay.
And that's all on that. So if you walk in, you fill out your application, we make a copy of your picture ID, and you pay your deposit at City Hall.
Okay.
So those are different
Okay.
methods of
Okay,
getting
now,
started.
to get it disconnected. If I'm out of town, I wanna disconnect.
Well, if you're out of town, you'll have to visit the website. You either download the application, fax, or email it to us. We have to have that form before we can disconnect the service, because first of all, we want to make sure that the service address that we're disconnecting is accurate, because you may tell me 113 on the phone and it's really 112. And also, we need to have a forwarding address for the final bill.
Do we verify that with tax ID or tax records or property appraiser site to make sure that they're the owner of that property when they put in a disconnect? There is no verification on that.
No, we don't verify it.
I would venture to say that there's a huge percent of ours that's not property owners, they're renters, or, so there's no way.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this. I was looking at the application earlier today, and it asks all about the renter's information, and then only the landlord's name and phone number. The landlord gives no permission to have the service turned on or off at their house. And I'm wondering, this is a question for our attorney, if a renter leaves, we've got absolutely no recourse to get that money from them. We can't lien their property, we can't go after them. I would like to have the owner of that property sign this document as well, saying, yes, I'll allow water service. If I want DirecTV at my house and have to bolt the satellite in my house, the landlord or the owner of that home has to sign off on that before they put a bolt in their roof.
And that's where, I mean, you must have a recording when I was talking to Jim last week, with Bob and that.
Certainly.
We all got
But,
that same thing.
But anyway, Jim and I were talking about, I mean, we got $180,000 on the books and accounts receivable for water. He's telling me that owner leaves owing us that money. We take their deposit, and then the balance of whatever, we can't collect it. Well, my idea was the same exact one as his, if legally we can do it. That when you come in to open an account, you sign it, but the owner has to sign it too, to let him know that he is ultimately responsible for that water bill. And so the next person that comes in to rent it, you ladies have Joe Blow's name down there that's responsible, so somebody always is responsible for that bill.
The landlord got to pay it before the next renter can get it turned on.
Somebody's got to pay it.
That way
Now,
we have
I
someone
mean,
held responsible.
you know, we're just, part of the reason for this meeting is so we won't get, this 180 won't grow. We hold the keys, we turn the water off and on, so there's no reason that we shouldn't get our money by some deadbeat leaving town owing us $400 on a water bill. And so I'm open to suggestions from you ladies or the public or anybody, for that part of my reason we're here.
I'll say this before we go any further on it, is we got $180,000 deficit, basically account receivable. I would say probably 65% of that's because the water prices in our community, and we can't do anything about it.
Well, that could be. I mean, it very well could be, but that's still no excuse not to pay the bill. I mean, we got little ladies and little men around town that scrape up their last dollar to get that water bill paid, and then we got folks that rent and leave town owing us all that money, and it just, I don't think it's fair, and somebody's gonna have to pay for it. So that's, it's simple as Commissioner Ashbrook said, when you fill out an application for water, sewer, and garbage service, and you don't own the property owner has got to sign too. It's like a co-signer on a note.
If you go to rent a car before you're 25, you gotta use mom's credit card. If you wreck that car, mom's gonna get charged.
So let me ask you this, okay? If that's gotta be done, you're saying that you want somebody to be able to call and disconnect their water from New York City,
Well,
okay?
yeah, I'm gonna get back to that.
But now we're trying to get this same homeowner that lives in New York City to sign this big paper.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah, he had to sign to begin with. You said disconnect. I mean, when they connected, he signed it. Now, when he disconnect, I was about to go back to Carla's statement about the ways that you can disconnect. Is there an easier way, if I'm in New York City and want to disconnect my water, I don't have access to a fax. I know with cell phones nowadays,
Print it out, take a
Oh, you gotta just take a picture
email
of it,
it to us.
take a picture of what?
The form.
Take a picture of from where?
I could take a picture of the computer, or I could take a picture of the form
So,
printed out.
but say you're in your car and you got a cell phone, and I want to disconnect it, and I got it up on my phone, how can I do that? I mean, right,
You're gonna have to sign that form. We need a signature.
Is there
Because
any,
anybody could call up and say, hey, you know, you might be mad at Joe Blow down the street and call up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I want my water
But
disconnected.
that's-
It's Joe Blow down the street disconnected. So we have to have a form
but yes,
signed.
that's why we're here. I'm
Yeah.
trying to ask y'all to, let's see if we can get a system where somebody could use their cell phone or could use a computer by just checking, I agree, we do a lot of
there's
that.
digital signatures, if you just put your last four of your social, can we digitize this form? And maybe Rick Lamberson needs to be here tonight, but I think these two forms can easily be a fillable PDF that automatically emails to y'all's
Yeah,
accounts.
and this is technology down here, and that, there's a way that we can do that. That's why I want to see if we can,
If Rick would be able to give us a figure, it probably cost $500 to get these two forms digitized, and they can submit it online. I mean, that solves everyone's problem right there, and then the landlord applies.
right, so, that's that's why y'all feel comfortable if we got that digitized and his digital signature, or
But
he could
that's the thing,
actually
is
do it
illegal
from
to
his
sign
cell
up for a
phone
utility
driving
with
down.
digital signature.
Well, his wife's driving, he's over here now.
Well, this is the thing about it. This is the catch, it's that digital signature. I talked to Rick about it. The form, yes, you can put the form on there and we can get it sent directly back. We can have it in a fillable PDF. That signature is the key. That signature, you've got to have all these different signatures in there for it to recognize it. Rick said that's the headache right there, is that signature. Yes, we can get the form sent back, but
Some
you
of
can't
it
get
is,
the
and
signature.
I think it just depends on how secure this needs to be. A lot of times you just type in your name and put the last four of your social, and you verify that that is their social, and you're good to go. But I know in the HR world, that's all it takes to fire an employee now. You click the button that says sign your name, and it draws your name in, and you hit submit. So you gotta be able to sign up for water. If I can end your career, you can turn on my water with a digital signature.
That's kind of what I'd like to see us work toward. It sounds like, applying, you can apply online and do a credit card, which we shouldn't really have to call you. We should be able, like you're buying something from Amazon, when you click buy, then they ask you for your credit card information.
It's a legal
And
question.
once you do that, you ladies don't have to talk to them. This is done deal. They've already agreed, this is my credit card. I want my water. And here's my deposit. Can we look at doing that too, maybe? Would that make it, trying to make it easier on y'all too, not harder.
I think that's gonna require something from Munis for it to work with the Munis system in order to generate a work order, service order to then turn that water on. Or something.
My thought would be to fill it out, and it goes to a water@cityofpsj.com, and you just check that account, and here's all your orders for the day, and then you have to enter them.
Yeah,
That's
that
what it
would
looks
work.
like now.
Yeah,
And
Dave,
then-
I mean, Dave, like I say, he's a techno man. If Dave, you can,
I'll bet there's another city in this state that has digital turn it on to the water, and that's what we need to do, is see if they use
It's
Munis.
got-
Maybe Munis has a module you can add to it that does this.
I'd like to see us work toward that, and you ladies won't have to sit there on the phone and write numbers down. Oh, gosh, that's the wrong number, it didn't go through. Did that happen to y'all? It had, I thought, probably it's just, you know, it's human nature, so those are the things as well as the, have I talked too much? So, and then you got the automatic draft, that's great. Another thing, and this was brought up by someone in the city, I'll say, won't call any name, but our average water bill now runs what? Per month, per household?
About
$100.
$150.
Base just
About
under
$150.
We require $100 deposit. For how many years we've been requiring $100 deposit? 20 years, 30 years?
At least 15.
We need to look at bumping that up to $200. We need to bump that up to $200. I mean, we run the business, folks. We can't just keep saying we're nice guys and that's all right. You can get past due, we'll just send you the collection and we'll still probably never get it. This is a $14 million a year business. We got to run it like
Well,
a business.
I was gonna say 500, so I suggested that, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
But I'm saying 200 is not gonna, and maybe it'll help us recoup some of these renters that are leaving town. I mean, you said the other day, you got a guy turned on and he's a brand new customer and he's already 2 months past due. So, that's, I hate to get up on my soapbox, folks, but I just, think we need to have a way to keep them, getting that accounts receivable bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, Jim works with folks left and right, and I admire him for doing that, but at some point in time, you need to pay your utility bill for the city. That's how we keep running, but I mean, I like the idea of the application is good, maybe bump the deposit up, and on disconnect, maybe work through Dave's ideas about digitizing, getting on the computer, as well as change the application form so they can do it all online without calling these ladies with their credit card number. Does
Sure,
that
we'll
sound
look at it.
easy to you? Is it?
If we can back up to that just a second, if we're gonna do those two, can we do a digital change of mailing address? Cause I have folks constantly fussing because they have to fill out and send us in a form. They say, you mean I can't just go online and change my
That's
address?
absolute, that's
Or
what I'm
I
trying to
can't
get
call you
away
up.
from. Trying to get away from all
So,
this.
so, I mean, if we could add that to the forms, that would be
And
great
headaches
too.
For you guys,
Even the ACH forms, I mean, if we're
Yeah,
gonna
I would
digitize
say
them anyway.
digitize everything. The only issue you're gonna run into, you got bank account information being sent over the email. you
Well,
got
maybe not the
credit card
ACH
information.
then.
But even still, I think what they're gonna look at, whether we're allowed to do it or not, is gonna be based on our firewall and our security at our site. Because once it gets in our building, can anyone else break into our system and steal that information?
Yeah, there
Then
shouldn't-
we're
shouldn't be a
liable. I
problem
don't think
with
we
the
have
address.
cyber crime insurance in the city, but it's something new and it does happen.
Dave, one day if we can get Rick on the phone, because me and him talked one day before, and he had a whole list of gamut of things that were red flags that we need to look at. Chief, if you could help me out with that, we'll see if we can work through some of that stuff on it.
yeah, so Jim, if y'all could, taking it from the start to the kind of the finish and just application disconnect, see about completely, even computerizing, for lack of a better word, the application, the disconnect, and the change of address, all via computer. These ladies can concentrate on what they do and not have to be on the phone talking to somebody and have them listen to them about why can't I do it this way and that way. Let's bump up a little bit more toward the 21st century. What else we got here?
I had one more request. It's sort of on topic, but maybe not really. But I know we hear a lot every year when we do our budget, about water rates and things, whether it goes up or down, and how there's all these guidelines because of an outstanding loan that we can only do certain things. I would love to have a copy of the loan documents. Is there any way we all can get that in our boxes on when we applied for that loan, what are the stipulations, what we can and can't do? Can we get that? Awesome. I would love that.
I've seen it. Don't give me another.
It's only about that thick.
I know it doesn't. I
I
don't
just
need
need one, or you
another
can
one.
send it to me digitally
No, I thought you had a copy of it.
if it's digitized.
That's good, because you're gonna hear it, because you're getting ready to re-up, so you're gonna keep hearing it. But now, Jim, tell them what you told me the other day about 4 or 5 years ago, our customer base was how many thousand, and now it's.
That's the next page.
Well, basically, what you were looking at, the city in the 2008, 2009, we pretty much started expanding out into the county. Before that, all you had was the city. So basically, you were in, if you'll flip back up to the other pages here.
Page 6.
Page 6.
Yeah, I looked at that.
Yeah.
I kind of put it in perspective in one of 2009. This is a snapshot of what we built out on one of 2009. If you look down, it's kind of hard to understand, but if you go down like the second line, it says Water County 1,087. That was the number of customers you had in the county on the residential side. 1,649 residential water within the city, and then your commercial 276. The big change was the Cape Sewer. If you go down to Cape Sewer, you'll see 27. That's all the folks we had on that big line out of Cape in 2009. So then if you flip over to the next page, to last month's billing, January, you'll see we billed 456 customers out of the Cape. So you can see the amount of work that's changed with these ladies in just, 8 years.
Mr. Starman, out there, that's not something to benefit any of us, but I'd love to see something like that if you can get it from Jim in the paper. I mean, I'm not telling you that for any agenda I have, but the people of our community need to know what we've done to grow our system and what our staffing's done. I'd love to see that.
$86,000
Yeah.
to 216.
Some places.
And Jim said
You
we're getting, you ladies getting quite a few calls almost every day.
Mike nearly had somebody every day. there's not hardly a day go by we don't send somebody up to Mike's office, do we, trying to, about sewer's the main one. Yeah,
Good,
sewer tap.
good. Get those folks off septic tanks around that back.
So the economy's coming back, and this helps out with the loan, because we need people on the tap, guys.
Oh, I do. And, you know, I'll tell y'all this, that, I don't know, there's a couple, people that I've talked to in the last 2 or 3 weeks that were getting ready to possibly maybe annex a little bit of property. And every time we do something like that, or we can do something like that to help them out, it's right there on the border of us. We get more money coming in, more tax coming in, more revenue. That's good for us, guys.
And it's gonna help us keep from having to raise and possibly lower our water and sewer lines. And that's the only way it's gonna happen.
That's it, you know, I'm sat there, look at every way in the world to do it, and other than us, we build a bigger tax, bigger base. The only other way to do that, be bankrupt the city of Fort St. Joe, we can do that, so, I mean, I'm all on board with what you're saying there.
Well, I said we should buy lottery tickets.
What, is there anywhere in this ordinance, I'm just scanning it, Miles, that sets our deposit? Yeah, I see all delinquent conditions.
Yes, sir, it is set by ordinance, yes.
And that's not on this page, is it?
It should be, let's see.
Septic service building. What I'm getting at is I'd like to see us maybe put it on the agenda for discussion and possibility of changing the minimum deposit, if you find it. If it's on here, I don't see it. Might be on a different page.
It's probably on a different
We
page.
don't have that page yet. So if everybody would agree to, let's think about that idea, but also put it on the agenda so we can discuss it.
I mean, if it takes us 2 months to cut it off, I say whatever the average bill is times 2 months should be what we collect on deposit in my mind. That's logical to me.
Yeah, that's, and if, keep us from having that,
I think it was changed, if I remember correctly, 2005, 2006, it's been $100 since then. It's been a long time.
It's not okay to talk for any public, anybody in the public got anything on this? Rex, are you okay?
yeah, I think we've, we're familiar with the adjustments, we've been working with folks, but
Are we
the application process and disconnect has been, and the accounts receivable, a way to minimize that for the future.
Rex, are we comfortable with tying the owner to the property? I mean, I think that's something.
Mike was looking at
I
legality.
That's something we need to-
won't do that. There's no, if,
I'll look into
if
that.
we can legally do that, absolutely, because then if it's not paid, the lien goes on the property. Well, if it's not paid, they can't ever get a water permit back on, so, I mean, but if they abandon the property, we can still put a lien on it. So, yeah, I like that, Dave. Some of the property owners are not gonna like it,
Probably not, but.
but you have rental property.
I'd rather we don't bill renters, just bill the owners, let them charge the rent, or charge the water bill to the renters themselves.
Well, that'd be
That's
nice.
probably not gonna happen.
That-
Alright, anybody from the public? I have a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir.
Y'all enjoyed it.
Thank you, ladies, for
Let's do it again
coming.
in a couple of weeks.
Carla, I'm glad you're feeling a little better.
I am too.
I mean, I think you ought to take tomorrow off too, though, it's just. Huh? All of you.
There's a reason why.
Whoever's been sick. Whoever's been out.
Alright, did I make anybody mad?
Well,
Yeah,
other
get out of here.
I'm trying to do that.
All right.
This place will real fit them all. I think that's gonna be a problem.
Let's see.
Still happening, you got the check.
Yeah.